So I know, Mark, we've got a couple minutes left with you, but I want to get your answer on this. For Michigan, what would a win on Saturday mean for all parties involved?
Well, there are going to be certain people that are not going to be satisfied, because then Wisconsin will be 1-3 and they'll say, well, Wisconsin's no good, so that didn't prove anything. But to me, that will prove something. I don't think Wisconsin's a great team. They're very limited on offense, but I do truly believe that they've got one of the 5 to 10 best defenses in college football. So a win on the road against Wisconsin, to me, would validate that Michigan should contend in the Big Ten East throughout the season, and that they are a mentally and physically tougher team, because I do think that Wisconsin toughness is real. I think they show up the same all the time. They are who they are. They don't get intimidated. They may not be ultra talented, but they are who they are. And so if Michigan goes to Camp Randall and does what they haven't done since 2001, and that's a skewed stat. It's not like they go play at Wisconsin every year since 2001, but think they've lost 5 games since then. That and Dre references the last 2 times they were up there, and I remember those games. They just got blown out of the stadium in one of them. The other one, Brandon Peters, they're down by 2 scores, and he stretches for the goal line or was going out of bounds, one of the two, and gets broken in half pretty much. That they're just going to show to me that they're a mentally and physically tougher team than they have been in the past, to face the crowd, to face the defense, and to grind it out, come out of there with a win, that they're a little different, that they're built different than they have been the last few years.
Absolutely. Dre, what about you? If Michigan wins Saturday, what does that mean?
See you, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Mark. It's a mold breaker. It's a mold breaker. It's proven, for one, that in the last 2 years, especially on the hardball, that you can win to where you haven't won. It proves that you can, because I do believe it will play out this way, one way or the other. You can overcome adversity. You can overcome adversity. You can find a way to win games in which, like we've been talking about, there are signs, both with weaknesses and strength Michigan has, and both weaknesses and strength Wisconsin has, that Michigan could lose this game, right? And that you can find a way to win a ball game on the road, right? Against an opponent that may not be having the best start, but all means a very, very good program traditionally in this conference. So it's about breaking a mold, and that's how you take steps in your program that you haven't taken before. You do something that, it tends to be a stumbling block, in a place you can't win, or a weakness that you just can't seem to fix, like quarterback play. I mean, how refreshing would it be? I'll put it to you like this. I'll be way more impressed if we're down and somehow Cade can have one drive in which he makes 3 or 4 throws and we win by a field goal, compared to if we beat Wisconsin 28-14 and it's mostly running the football, right? Like because it will feel different, right? And that's how you know things are trending different, when you see it play out differently. I hope I'm not sounding like a broken record, but like something has to change. We talked about changing the offense, right? We're trying to be speed and space, all these things. Well, show me different. Show me that you can go to Wisconsin and you can stress your defense, and you can show the true athleticism of these high caliber kids you're bringing in your program, right? Show that you're breaking that old mold that Harbaugh's had at Michigan. That's what it would mean to have a win Saturday, that things could be possibly different.
Do you think they will be able? Do you think they can win or will win the same old way, as far as what we've seen the last 4 games of just run heavy, throwing it very little? Do you think it's possible to get a win that way?
No, not on a road, not versus Wisconsin. And people, I think when we say that, people hear that in their head, kind of like, oh, you're saying like Wisconsin, like this world beater, like they're like this great team. No, but year in, year out, for the most part, you know what you're going to get from Wisconsin, particularly at home. They're going to be physical. They're going to be disciplined. And yeah, that talent is going to fluctuate year to year, and that will dictate, the the pinnacle what they can achieve in terms of winning the Big Ten or maybe making a playoff one day. But all in all, you know what you're going to get, right? And so, and that's why I can't take them lightly. I can't.
Yeah, agreed. I think because to me, if I'm, and I believe, is it Jim Leonard? I think Jim Leonard is their defensive coordinator. He is a really good defensive coordinator. Former Wisconsin player, but he's a high level defensive coordinator. And if I am him, and he's a much smarter guy than I am, I am going to load the box. Right, we're going to have, if not 8 guys in the box, we're going to have 7 and a safety, really the borderline 8th guy in the box. And I'm going to make Cade McNamara beat me. I'm just not going to, sit back and, and potentially, and have the potential of, Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum be able to, get loose or anything like that. I am packing that box, and Michigan is going to have to, they're going to have to throw. Like, I'm not going to let you beat me running the ball. And I would guess that Jim Leonard is going to have a similar approach to the game, where it's just like, you might beat us, but it's not going to be the way that you have won your last 4 games.
I'll put it to you like this. I think I can't think of his first names, but I think a lot of people are pretty big on Sanders, the Penn State running back. They like him a lot. I remember tuning into the Penn State-Wisconsin game, and it was 10-10, and I remember hearing Joe Klatt, good old Joe Klatt, talking about, Sean Clifford has got to hit a throw here and there. He kept overshooting this receiver, and finally he hit one down the field, but he underthrew the guy. But it was close enough where the guy can slow down, and he caught the ball, right? But he made sure he completed the play. I think it was for like 35, 40 yards. But it was huge because at that point it's a knockout game. It's a physical game. And it became a situation in which wherever quarterback was able to make a play, because he had to, you weren't going to just run the ball down at either team's throat, was going to win it, right? Graham Mertz had his opportunities. He made 2 turnovers. Sean Clifford was able to hit that throw. And so those are that's why this game is going to come down to the quarterback, because both teams are too talented and too disciplined, too physical for it to be one of those games where you're just going to run the football, and establish what you want to do. I mean, we've seen, and I know it was last year or 2 years ago, we've seen Michigan struggle to run the ball against Army. It's not like, especially when teams know what you're going to do, it's so hard. It's so hard to just do that throughout the game. And I'll tell you another thing too. This is one of those games where it's good that Michigan is about 1 to 3 running backs deep, because they're going to be sore. This is going to be physical, man. It's not going to be a pretty game. It's not. So just strap in.
Yeah, and that's Wisconsin's culture, like their calling card, like, and it's been like that for the long. I mean, I can't remember a time when they weren't that way. Like, even if they weren't a phenomenal team, like, they were always really physical, run the ball, low to no, mistakes and turnovers. They're just going to try to lean on you, So yeah, I think it'll be big. I'd love to see, even if it's possible, a little sprinkle in of Donovan Edwards along with, Haskins and Corum. But we'll see what happens on Saturday. So the flip side of it. So for Michigan, what would a loss on Saturday mean?
Same old Harbaugh. Same old trend of Michigan under his tenure. You beat up on the weaker teams, and you get exposed against teams with similar talent. It'll be very disheartening, because the saving grace for anyone who had like even a small amount of hope for Harbaugh being to turn this thing around. He cleans out his coaching staff, gets a new influx of young, youthful staff, right? A lot of fire. Jim Harbaugh talking about he's back to his playing weight. All this stuff, right? And right. And it would be just more of the same. It'll be more of the same. It'll be another year in which we didn't learn anything, but you just proved that, yeah, you are who we thought you were. For us who were skeptical, of what these wins have meant. It would just be that proof, and it would be devastating. It's another one. It'll be devastating.
You look like it's already paining you, like to even
Because
like,
you know what, you know what, because it's also about the opportunity. I mean, Desmond, how many times have me and you over the years talked about, windows, and when windows are open, especially when you're not the best team, Ohio State's the king of this conference. I hate saying that, it makes me sick saying it, but it is what it is.
Is what it is, right?
Like it's rare we have opportunities where you're like, okay, nobody in this conference is rolling, playing great. Everyone has question marks, legitimate question marks that may not be fixed in this season. Ohio State's defense has issues, and issues
they have had issues. Even last year had a lot.
Even last year, that it's like, okay, all right, now. I mean, you can score on them. You can score on them, and if CJ, who has made some turnovers, if you can get him to commit a few errors and maybe generate some pressure with Hutchinson and Gene Upshaw and those guys, if you can generate some pressure, maybe you may have a chance against them, right? It's an opportunity for, albeit Michigan's weaknesses, they have a legitimate opportunity based on their peers' weaknesses this year to win a Big Ten, right? And so it will hurt from that standpoint that you have a window here and we're going to probably blow it again.
Yeah. Well, and you and I talked about it earlier. So if you're able to get past Wisconsin on Saturday, the next 3 games that you have is going to be you're at Nebraska, which you should win that game. We'll talk about it, but you should win that game. And then you got Northwestern at home, which I think you're much better than Northwestern. So you could be strolling into, Michigan State for the Halloween game, the day before Halloween in a really good spot. That's what, 5, 6, 7-0, and probably a
great
top 10
opportunity.
team.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, like we talk about the windows, like, and that's it. Like the window is to be 7-0 with, a toss-up game against Michigan State, like that, like the opportunity that you have is so, like, the opportunity itself is huge. Like you could be in a really good spot to where, let's say you beat Michigan State. Now you got Indiana at home, and then you got
struggling this year.
Right. Like there's just so many, there's so much there. And like you said, with Ohio State not being, the North, you don't have Justin Fields at quarterback or, JT Barrett, where, he may not have been the most talented guy, but you knew he wasn't going to make a lot of mistakes. And you had, Dwayne Haskins, which, threw for 50 touchdowns in that game. Like Braxton Miller's not there. Like it's just the window is open right now. And, Michigan's they just have to take advantage of it. And I think they can, but it's not going to be with the same old same. Like it's not going to be just doing what you always did in the last, 4 weeks and really of the 7 years that Jim Harbaugh has been here. Like you're going to have to throw the ball, and it can't just be, on 3rd and long. Like that's just not, I don't think that's going to work. And, it just, to me, like, it's just there. Like it's there.
Question.
And you got to take it.
Question for you.
So,
I'm not going to put say the person's name. How are we being negative? I always find that so funny, and we don't get as much now. I think people are starting to see week to week what we're referring to. What people have to understand, and I know we can't. We're not out to have everyone agree with us. It's that when we are giving our critiques, and I say this all the time at every post game show. The way I judge this program on a week to week basis is what boxes are they checking or not checking to be on a trajectory to win the Big Ten, as it should be, no matter what. You're 7 under Jim Harbaugh. That's how I view them. So if I think if you haven't proven anything in the passing game, and now you're about to go on the road for the first time this season, why in the world would I say, you know what, I feel great? We have proven that this is going to work. Go Blue. If I had a banner, I'll jump up and touch it. Like, no. I give you what you give me, and I will give you credit when it's deserved. But you know, and I will root for you with all my might. But I will judge you based on the, you know, your results and, you know, what you show, not based on what I think, what I hope, and what I dream of. So, you know, I just like to put that disclaimer out there because it's the truth. You know, we both want the same thing, and so that's what we're trying to do. Talk about what Michigan has to do to get there.
And that's what I was going to say, because to me, the overall theme or thought of like what the season should be is Indianapolis. And if I'm mistaken, then, you know, definitely obviously let us know. But that, to me, Michigan fans want a Big Ten championship. And if that is the case, if that's what you want, it's not going to happen, you know, just running the football. Like, I mean, you look at Ohio State even Justin Fields 2 years, and then Haskins. I mean, these guys are throwing for 35, 40, 50 touchdowns. And I get it. That's their offense. Like, but you're eventually going to get to the point, especially when you play in a Power 5 conference. And, you know, the ACC is debatable as well as the Pac-12, but they're having a good year. But when you play in one of the Power 5 conferences, like, there's going to come a game that you have on a Saturday that your bread and butter is not going to work. So for Ohio State, what did they have? Was Northwestern? I mean, Justin Fields is turnovers. I think he had like 11 completions in the Big Ten championship. You know what I mean? Like, and they turned to Trey Sermon, who just went crazy, you know, in that game. So if you're telling me that Justin Fields and Ohio State, right, with Ryan Day, can't just, you know, roll out and do whatever they want against a team every single week, then I'm going to tell you Jim Harbaugh, Cade McNamara aren't going to be able to just roll out and do what they have always done and be able to win the Big Ten, like even winning the division. No. So that, you know, that's my thought on it is if you're telling me the expectation and what you want to happen is Indianapolis, I'm going to critique the offense, the team, the defense based on that. Like, what do they need to do to get there, right? And my theme the last 4 weeks has been get your quarterback some reps, and that obviously hasn't happened. They're 4-0, so I
know what he can do. And if other thing, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're going to get backlash because they get it all the time. If Cade in these past 4 weeks, he had more repetitions, and he had a couple turnovers, right? Yeah, you're going to get the typical, here we go, we don't have a quarterback. There would be pressure on Cade. You remember in the Amazon Prime series, in which I was late to watch, just in case I'm going to get in front of that, just in case you bring that up. The Amazon Prime series that they did of Michigan football, the 2017 season. And I remember there was a clip, I think it was Wooden Spate, and he was talking to his girlfriend or somebody, and he was looking at Twitter, which players shouldn't do. And he was under a lot of fire.
They're kids, though,
they're going to do it. I get it. You know, and he was on the fire, and people, you know, are you know, people got comments on social media and saying he's not good. You know, he's holding us back and all this stuff. And, you know, it's like, yeah, you can't protect these kids, you know, like, you know, if that was hard, and I don't know if this is the case, but if Harbaugh is trying to protect his quarterback, and, you know, I just don't want him to lose his confidence. Look, I'm sorry, this is big boy football here, you know, right. And you need to find out what you have. Either he can handle it or he can't. That's it.
Your livelihood's on the line. Like, yes. For Jim Harbaugh, your livelihood as being the Michigan head coach, right? Whatever. I think he's going to get another job if he wanted one, you know, if he were to get fired. Like, but at the end of the day, your livelihood is on the line. So you protecting this court, like, you protecting him, that's not your job. It's not your job to protect him. It's your job to coach him up, put him in the best possible scenario and situation for himself and the team. And if he can't perform, then we do need to go to JJ. But at this point, like, we haven't even put Cade in that situation yet to even know. Like, right. I mean, Mark,
you're gonna find on Saturday.
I had no idea that was Cade last year. That's a heck of a stat line. So if you're telling me he can do that, like, why are we holding him back? Like, that was Cade with, you know, I'm battling for time, right? There's so much up in the air, and now it's like, dude, the job is yours. Like, so this would be the time where, like, he'd be more comfortable in the offense. Like, so I don't understand that part of it of like trying to protect him, like for what? Like he's already shown you what he can do.
Dude, you see these true freshmen that are, for these big programs like the Trevor Lawrences, Jay Fromm's, or redshirt freshman CJ, Ohio State, thrown in the fire, and they have to make throws, and yeah, they're going to make mistakes, but you can't protect them because you're out there to win as many games as possible, and you also have to keep the end goal in mind. So like I don't want to see no handcuffs and nothing like that, man. Let's go forward. So I see you got the question here.
Yeah, so Let's Toast Media says, question, what if we had a 300-yard passing game and a 40 to 60-yard rushing game? Would you feel confident in this game at Dre?
See, that it's tough. To me, it's not about the yardage as much it is. I can't talk right now. It's not about the yardage. It's about the percentage breakdown of plays and the necessity to lean on certain aspects of your offense compared to others. And it's so heavily one way, right? So I wouldn't care if Michigan got 160 rushing yards and they got 205 passing yards, or vice versa. It's about balance and proving that if the situation, because you should go into each game utilizing your strengths, but if the situation was to occur in which you need to adjust and show a different aspect of your offense because your strength this day is not working, that you can do that. So it's about proving that you could be versatile and that you're not one-dimensional. So it's not about the yardage. It's about offensive breakdown and actual real plays and tape that you can do something, that you can stretch the field once or twice, besides one play running Bill, one play Cornelius Johnson. It's can you do that? Right. And so that's what will make me feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. James says, I feel like this game is going to make or break the season. He said, I get it just be one loss, but it show that Harbaugh hasn't changed. I think it depends on how you lose. Like if it's the same old same, like I agree.
Yeah.
I guess there's no good way to lose a game, but if it's like, we came out, ran the ball 40
2016
times.
Ohio State, Michigan, double overtime, slug, but hey, you lost a tough road game. Okay, so pack your bags. They were better. They won the game. We battled hard, and we're going forward. But if it's like the last two times where you're getting punched in the mouth and our quarterback's on the cart after the third quarter, and Joe Class talking about giving roundabout excuses of why Harbaugh's not, once again is struggling at Wisconsin again, then yeah, I mean it's more of the same. So yeah, from that standpoint, it could break the season.
True. Very true. Dependent Fanatic put, it's not just Ohio State anymore. Every team in our division is good this year. And I think,
better. I won't say good. I'll say better and improved.
And we've talked about it in a couple videos where it's just like, I mean, it's not getting worse. That's for sure. It's definitely not getting worse.
Even you saw last week with Rutgers. I think Schiano, look, Rutgers is not. I'll go on the record, and I could be wrong. Rutgers will never win a Big Ten under Greg Schiano. Okay. However, they will have a couple of upsets in the next few years, and they will be competitive. Rutgers is no longer a pushover in terms of how they were under Ash when they were getting blown out by 50 and 60 burgers on the regular. Okay, so even like teams are getting better. MSU, Tuck and Mel Tucker are ahead of schedule. Mm-hmm. They're good. They seem good. I don't know if they're better than Michigan, but they're good. We know what Penn State is, know what Ohio State is. Indiana has show flashes on Tom Allen that they can be competitive, they can be good. Look what Maryland's doing with baby TT. It is not a cakewalk. It is tough, and I agree with that.
Oh yeah, it's things have changed. Things have changed. you used to be able to pencil in a couple, games in the Big Ten where you're just like, oh yeah, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. But things are very different now. Things are very different.
Gosh, I knew I hit a soft spot with the 2016. I'm seeing robbery in 2016. Look, now me and you see, let's not go here because we're gonna start something. That was a couple terrible calls, misholding calls. Terrible spot for JT. I understand that. Just give me 30 seconds, Desmond, and I'll go back on task.
Go ahead.
Terrible. I understand. All I would say is that you can't fumble on your goal line. Wilton Spate did that. You can't throw a pick. And I understand Davion Smith missed a block, Desmond. You can't throw a pick when you're in your own territory right before halftime. There's some self-inflicted mistakes that we also made. We were the better team that day. Oh, I agree. But we also made some mistakes too. And so anytime I see people say robbery in 2016, I understand what you're getting at. And by all means, we got, ripped off on a lot of calls, but we also hurt ourselves too. And so if you're going to say that, at least admit we also made our own mistakes. That's all I'm saying.
Also, we're getting a lot of Ohio State is not that good
comments.
Yeah. I just
who are we to say that?
Is just be cautious with that. Like I don't think Michigan is at that point where they can say anything like that, especially in a rivalry game. Like that's way down the road.
Okay, 2018.
So Ohio State's 3-1, right? What if they turn it on and just start throttling everybody till we get to Thanksgiving? Like that things will change, right? Like so, right now they got some things to figure out, but to be quite frank, Michigan, so do you. Like Michigan's not a team with zero flaws. Like whether it's guys on the field or the coaching and play calling, Michigan's got some flaws too. So I think at this point in the season, everybody's kind of trying to figure out some stuff, and we'll kind of see how it goes.
No, look, hold on a second. By all means, Ohio State has their issues, but one thing we've seen, especially as Michigan fans, is that even the years when they look vulnerable, 2018, when we get to that game, all bets off. And we've seen Ohio State barely survive a 5-win Maryland team.
Yes.
In the following week, drop 60 points on us. Okay. And and mind you, we've won 10 or 11 games in a row. That was the revenge tour year. So just saying, be careful. I'm not saying that we can't beat Ohio State because I think we can.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
We can.
I agree. I don't.
However, be very, very careful using the word garbage, like I've seen in comments. No. Ohio State may not be great, but they're good, and they definitely still have the athletes and the talent to be very good this season. So
and the coaching too, at least on the offensive side of the ball,
and also the quarterback. Look, CJ has made some mistakes, but CJ also has had some big time games, man. Mm-hmm. He can rip it. He can rip it. And I said this to you. I don't think he has the moxie of a Fields or a JT Barrett. He doesn't have their cool as a cucumber composure.
A lot.
He does. He doesn't have that typical. He doesn't have that typical Ohio State composure. Yeah. That's why I think you can get him to make mistakes, but he can rip it. Don't make a mistake and think he can't rip it. And I'll still take him over Cade. So, and I'm just being honest. Like, and I understand Cade is having turnovers. I'm talking about in terms of I know that CJ can make big time throws. Mm-hmm. So just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful. Be careful what you ask for.
True. Yeah. You may ask for the smoke. You just may get it.
You just may get it, and not in a good way.